As the clock runs out, sometimes the toughest opponent isn't the other team, it's the weather. That's why some players say winning or losing depends on where you play the game. Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Greg Camarillo says the weather can determine which team plays best.
If you live in the heat and practice in the heat, it's an advantage to be in the heat.
The Vikings often practice in a climate-controlled environment to escape the frigid temperatures. But when the boys of fall are up against old man winter, the game becomes a challenge just to stay warm.
When it's freezing cold, your bones feel brittle, your hands are cold, it hurts to hit, it hurts to catch the ball, your feet are freezing, ground's hard.
Many players prefer being in the heat rather than the cold.
It's easier to get your body loose.
Running back Adrian Peterson says his performance changes as the temperature drops.
I don't want to catch Green Bay when it's too cold.
Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin is home to one of the most famous football games in history.
One of the games that was really affected by cold weather back several years ago, back in 1967 actually, it was called the Ice Bowl. It was a playoff game in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
When you suck in that cold air in, it's definitely hard to breathe.
While the cold can be brutal, playing in hot and humid places like Florida can also be dangerous.
When it's super hot, you get tired real easily, you lose all your fluids through sweating, it makes it tough.
While temperature can affect the body's performance, did you know it can also affect the footballs? Cold air is denser than warm air, and that slows the ball down. Vikings punter Chris Cluey knows it may not travel as far in Buffalo, New York, as it will in Miami, Florida.
Warm temperatures, the ball actually goes a little further because it flies better, it cuts through the air a little more.
Besides air temperature, place kicker Ryan Longwell says the distance the ball travels is also determined by a stadium's elevation. The Denver Broncos' home stadium, Invesco Field, is about a mile above sea level near the Colorado Rocky Mountains. The higher up you are, the thinner the air is, so the ball has less resistance against it.
You can hit 60-yard field goals there kind of with your normal 50-yard field goal stroke, and the ball just kind of stays in the air.
Regardless of the elevation or the temperature, Chris Cluey says if the wind isn't cooperating, the ball won't either.
In Chicago, it's coming off the lake, so it just goes everywhere. Windy days are no good, which is why I'm not a big fan of punting in Chicago.
Since weather can be unpredictable, some players say the best location for football is in a dome, where most of the time there's no weather at all. But sometimes not even a roof can help. Just ask the Minnesota Vikings. The Metrodome's roof tore following a snowstorm in 2010, forcing the Vikings to find a new stadium to finish their season. For Weatherbug, I'm meteorologist Bay Scroggins.